So as someone doing a podcast, I can definitely say what BJ Novak's character goes through is pretty crazy to think about, but we'll talk about that next. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's movie review of Vengeance, the newest film and first film of BJ Novak. Okay, so Vengeance is BJ Novak's first film. It is his directorial debut. It's basically about an individual named Ben, who, of course, is a podcaster from New York. He is an individual that, does stuff like This American Life in a lot of respects. He finds interesting topics, and he's trying to find that next topic, the next idea that will propel him into the stratosphere. They use podcasting services that are not real, but they have real feeling to, ideas to them. And of course, his boss is played by Issa, who is really great in this movie. Well, in the process of everything, he gets a call from a character who's played by Holdbrook, who in essence basically says that his girlfriend that he claimed that they were still dating has died of some particular cause. And so BJ Novak's character, Ben, is actually thrusted into Texas, where he meets the family of the deceased, one-time stand ex-girlfriend type of situation. And he decides, with the help of Issa Rae and Boyd Holbrook's character and the family, to not only uncover what exactly happened to this young girl, but in the process of everything, he learns about the family. He decides he's going to podcast it like This American Life, and the story starts to unfold into a much bigger story about this young woman who wanted to become a singer, and how the impacts of life in general will affect human people, as well as the family around him who believe that he is actually the boyfriend of this young girl. And so it becomes like a really interesting story about how we find and discover not only who the people are, but the story behind the mystery and stuff like that. And on top of that, it's a murder mystery, so it's a really, interesting experience if you think about it. So BJ Novak, of course, famous from The Office, and of course Inglourious Basterds. He's an individual that is just fun to watch. He's a very entertaining individual. And this is a movie, once I saw the trailer for, I think a month or two back from this review, I was really intrigued by it. I love the idea of podcasting. This American Life and those types of podcasts are really popular, but they have kind of outstayed their welcome in a lot of respects. But I get why he's doing this, because he wants to show like how deep and kind of transgressive these stories can become if they're popular. And dealing with a murdered individual, it can get a lot of views. So the idea of Issa Rae leaving him out there and him trying to learn the story it makes a lot of sense. And on top of that, going into a world which is very much, bleeding into the ideas and ideologies of this world that we live in general, when it comes to, the useful help of the police and just the family and what they believe and stuff like that. It is a really realistic approach. So what I was seeing from the trailer looked not only interesting, but could be very, it could be interesting and self-referential when it comes to the world of its own. And I was really intrigued to see if BJ Novak could deliver on his debut film. And so finally getting the chance to see this a little bit early, thanks to Focus Features for allowing me to do that and the people behind it. This is a really good film. It really is. It's for a debut film for an individual like BJ Novak. It has a lot to say. It tells a very interesting story. It has very fun and entertaining and likable and very relatable characters. The family of this young dead girl are not the smartest people in the world in how they act, but they are loving. They care about each other. Boyd Holbrook, who plays the brother, is really fascinating to watch. The grandmother in this movie is really fascinating to watch. And what makes this story work is not only the familiar nature of it when it comes to the family and stuff like that, but is the nature of what it is like for somebody like a BJ Novak's Ben character to come to the realization that, maybe the things that he's doing aren't what you would call the best in its own right. And you start to see kind of him having to deal with the fact of what he has done in his past with this young woman, how it's affected her, idea. But when he starts to uncover what really happened to her and how, that world responds, the idea of the realism and the nature, it is very approachable when it comes to a podcast, but it's also, it starts to touch on you about who you are as a human and what you affect when it comes to the people that you live through and the people you work with and stuff like that, and the people, you come in contact with your life. So your friends and stuff like that, or the people that you just talk to on a one-time basis, are affected by your, progression. And I just love that. I love the idea of him being a podcaster, which is very, relatable in a lot of respects. From the podcast I do, you get a sense that he, knows podcasting pretty well, so he has a sense of what he's doing. He really wanted to show show how despicable and detestable podcasting can be when it comes to real life nature. But he also wanted to show the human side, and he also, what makes it really interesting, what BJ Novak does so well in this is he's able to throw in some comedy while throwing in some really dark material. So for instance, the young boy in this movie, the one he actually becomes super close to when it comes to like a relationship status on like a brother relationship and stuff like that. He the family calls him El Stupido, and I think that was pretty funny. But there is a much darker intent to that when it comes to the kid is actually not stupid. He's looked down upon because he's not the smartest kid in the world. But I like the fact that that kind of stuff is put in there. Just it's humorous, but it also has a message behind it, and that's a lot of what BJ Novak does in this movie. And on top of everything, there is a cameo by Ashton Kutcher, which he's kind of like the psychology and like the how the world views particular situations. And to watch him talk, it's actually quite entertaining and quite ingenious, because Ashton Kutcher's always been looked at as an individual kind of down upon. He's always looked at like Mila Kunis' husband, or being in that 70s show as the kind of the idiot character. So him playing a character like this against type, I really enjoyed it. I think he's actually one of the best parts about the movie, outside like Boyd Holbrook and the other family members. But there is a lot of heart in this movie. There is a lot of passion. There is a lot of interesting intrigue. The murder mystery is interesting. How it plays out is interesting. How the podcast is interesting. How that works out. Just everything about it. How Issa Rae is kind of in the background, but she has an important part to play to kind of push Ben's character. And I don't know. I just found this movie really interesting to watch. Is it the greatest film? No, it's not the greatest film, because it is very traditional and very by the book especially when it comes to the ending. But the way the ending plays out, the message behind it is very intriguing to listen to, and it has a lot of things to say about culture in general. And I did find that enjoyable. Like I said, it has music, I think, by Phineas of Billie Eilish. Her brother, I think, did the music for this movie, which is really interesting. The podcasting is really authentic. If you think about it, I mean, you can make it pretty authentic, to be fairly honest, but it is really authentic what they're trying to do. And I think BJ Novak, who is writing, directing, and starring in this movie, does a fantastic job, and it's great. So overall, to kind of conclude this review, Vengeance is a pretty much a film that I was hoping to be good, was good. It's a movie that I think a lot of people will enjoy. It's going to be a crowd pleaser, like, Cha-Cha Real Smooth in a lot of respects. And it shows that BJ Novak has a pretty good knack for directing and writing and starring in a lot of stuff. So definitely check it out. Definitely worth watching. And it'll be in theaters soon, as well as VOD. So with that said, that is going to be my take on Vengeance. Thank you so much for watching. Comments below. Are you interested in seeing this movie? What do you think about podcasting in general? What's your favorite podcast? If you do listen to podcasts, all that good stuff. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you like the video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out.